Hey everyone, it's Michael here at Home Health Success Academy and 10xpatientreferrals.com. In this video presentation, I want to be able to talk to you guys about how to actually strategize and plan out something and how you can actually use the things we're going to share with you guys today on how to create a $1 million home health agency or a $1 million home care non-medical agency. And so we want to be able to share with you guys some of the pillars of things that we do in my company, not just for the consulting, but also to be able to use it with the agencies that I own, such as home health agencies and non-medical agencies. And these are things that we actually share along to the companies that work with our organization to be able to create success in their own companies itself. And I always tell people that it is important to not just start thinking about, well, how do I get the next patient, the next client? You also have to work within the organization as well. And so you have to do what you need to do to be able to create success. And that is being I wouldn't say expert in this industry, but you must be knowledgeable of every aspect of your company, products and services. So before anything, I just want to be able to share with you guys. My name is Michael again with Home Health Success Academy and 10xpatientreferrals.com. We work with home health agencies, hospice, and home care companies, helping those agencies increase the bottom line, increase their profits, their referrals, and of course, increase their census. And we do that in a variety of different ways. And if you came across this video, I just want to say thank you so much. And I hope that what we share with you guys here would be vital on something that you can use. Now, just to give you guys a quick idea, this video training right here is meant for a marketer, an administrator, an owner of a home health agency or home care company. Whether you are having your business existing at this very moment and functioning, or you're looking about starting your own home care company or home health agency in the future. You have to understand, you can't just say, well, you know what, I know this one person, then they make a lot of money because they own a home care company. So I'm going to want to start my own at this very moment. No, you can't just say, well, looking at what people has attained, but making sure you know every part of the business and not just look at the profits that people make. A lot of people always look at, what people have right now, but they don't really look at, what they did in order to be able to get that success. And so that's what we want to be able to do right now. Okay, so before anything else, who are we? I already shared that with you. But I just want to let you guys know, I didn't just come about in this industry and started knowing everything. I made sure I studied, I worked hard, I've experienced my own failures so many times. And that's why I do what I'm doing right now, is because I like to share to people, what are the things that I failed on? What are the things that I know I made a mistake on, and how did I improve or, go past those problems, okay? So let's look at the business truth about home health agencies, right? Now, we're in the first half of this training series, and just want to let you guys know, thank you so much for joining us. I know your time is valuable. My goal is to keep on sharing with you guys as much information as possible to give you guys success, right? Now, you have to understand, in business, you do not start a business. You have to understand that you are the business itself. So if you're starting an agency, understand that the first thing you should know is that you are a business. It's not just creating a business. And in the end, you don't want to be a person who starts a business just to work for that business, okay? And that's something that we need to start looking into as well. Now, if you're a marketer, if you are a person that works for a home health agency, you also have to look yourself as you are a business itself, right? How do you see yourself as a business? Well, you have the position, you have the qualifications, right? So you have to sell yourself always, right? You had to sell yourself to the owners, the administrators, to hire you as a person. And you must be able to continuously give value to people for them to want to keep you as a person to work for that company. If you own the company, your job is to sell yourself to people to want to work under you and help you create a successful business and make it profitable. And you also have to make sure that you sell the services to people out there to refer patients to you or to get patients to keep on using your services. So you have to put in your mind that whether you own the company or you work for the company, you are a business on its own. So let's look at the goals, right? Our goal here is to be able to share with you guys, ideas and mindset thinking of how to be able to create a successful $1 million home health business, right? And why do we really want to open up a business or to work? A lot of people are going to say, you know what, Michael? Because I want to help people. You know what? I completely agree that we want to help people. We want to improve the conditions of others, but also we need to make money, right? We cannot look at it as being greedy, that we just want to be able to take care of our families, take care of our duties, take care of our religious duties, or whatever you can use with the money that you have. And so it's not being greedy thinking that we want to make money, okay? And we just want to be able to put that as a goal out there. Let's look at the definition of business, right? Definition of business. It's pretty much the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce, okay? And a lot of people are going to say, well, Michael, I don't sell things. No, you sell yourself. You're selling the products and services of your company, so that's selling. It's not like you're just trying to sell a car or real estate. In the home care, home health industry, we are selling a particular product. Now, a lot of people out there don't or stigmatize the word sales when it comes to healthcare, home health, and especially home care. But really, that's what we do, right? We sell things. Now, let's look at commerce, right? It's the activity of buying and selling, especially on a large scale, right? So, we have to understand that it comes from the word trade, trading, right? And we have to understand that we are at a constant state of commerce, right? We are trying, of selling our services out there, right? We're selling our services to people for them to what? Use our nurses, our therapists, our caregivers, our, homemakers. We're trying to sell them that product, okay? And so we have to understand that we are in a continuous state of commerce. So a lot of people say, well, Michael, why did you decide to say and call this training right here? Why did you call it a $1 million home health business training? Okay, why do I want to say you need to make $1 million? Okay, so why a $1 million home health business? Why would you want to have a $1 million home health business, if I may ask you right now? So if you're the owner of a company, why would you want to have a $1 million home health business? What's your reason in your head that you're thinking right now? What can you do with that $1 million or that $2 to $3 million? Okay. Now, if you're an employee, if you're a marketer, you're an administrator, you're a DON, why is it that you want to be able to be part of a $1 million home health business? In the end, we have to understand that the only way that we can keep our business running is making money, right? And for you as an employee, for you to keep on making money and for you to keep on getting bonuses, for you to be able to keep your job, you want your company to be making money so that it remains open. It's been a countless times where I hear people shutting doors of their businesses, of their home health agencies, because they're not able to find the right amount of patients to sustain the expenses of within the company. And there is going to be always the fine points. We're just going to go through the main details, right? Now, running your company is a whole different thing, and we actually provide those type of advices, but so that's a whole different issue that we want to be able to discuss. But right now is we want to be able to kind of give you guys a path to be able to know how can you make sure that your agency is a $1 million agency. So we did a survey of 1,379 agencies in 2018. And what we wanted to be able to do is kind of get an average point of, what are their average monthly census. And what we really found out was that in the home care, your non-medical, the caregivers and homemaker companies, the average full-time client for those particular companies was averaging somewhere around 17.2 full-time clients. That's of course asking 1,379 agencies, okay? When it came to the home health, the medical, like your skilled nursing, your therapy agencies, their average was at 32.1. Okay. Now, just to let you know, this is the average. And so, you'll be surprised out of those thousands, we were seeing a lot of people that were under these numbers, that were, no patients or one patient. And they're just like, I need to get more patients. And so, you have to look at it is if you're an agency at this very moment, is this your current census right now, or are you above this, or are you below this? And so you must be able to understand is that if you're having problems at this very moment, you need to start figuring out what you need to do to be able to, become more profitable. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I know agencies out there that are profitable, or per se for the owners, that having 17 patients a month for a home care company is considered profitable for them. But in the other end, I also know agencies that have 30, home care patients, and they're not profitable at all, and they're in the negative range, right? So, why is that? Well, later on, it's up to you, and we can help you with that. It's just that some home care companies will charge $25 an hour for the services, or $30, whereas some home care companies try to be the cheapest and only charge 16, 17, just because that's what they feel. And I always tell a lot of home care companies is that if you're charging, really low, that's you saying that that's what you believe your product is, right? So if you believe that your product is a generic phone, for example, that's your belief. And I'm not going to be able to change that, but I hope that I can give you some advices on it. Whereas if you're a company that says, you know what, we're the iPhones of home care, and we're willing to charge a premium price because we can back it up with our services and our programs that we have. So you have to look at that in both sides. Now, there's also what we call the 80-20 rule. And for some reason, the 80-20 rule really goes all throughout in business. And it's not just in the home health industry. What we're starting to see is that 20% of the top agencies, the top earning agencies, right? So those agencies have control over 80% of the potential clients out there in your industry, in your field right now. Whereas the bottom 80% are sharing the 20% of the potential clients. So you have to understand the bigger companies are doing such a great job. And what you would have to do is looking at that rule and starting to figure out and either mimicking or expanding your services that makes you better and mimic the people on the 20%, the ones who are doing really good. And just to let you guys know, just because you're competing against a franchise home care company or a franchise home health agency, that does not mean that they're doing well or better than you. I know a lot of franchise companies or franchise owned agencies that have shut down because the owners can't figure out how to get patients. They didn't train themselves enough. So just because you're being backed up by a franchise organization that says they're going to give you all the tools that you need to be able to create a successful home care company, it's still up to the individual, up to the owner of the company that's going to be able to really turn things around and make profit for the company. So why millions again? Well, look at this. You want to make $1 million because you're sick and tired of just making it. Right? And then you're sick and tired of not making it. Right? So it goes on both areas of things. And because you can, a lot of people say, well, that's impossible. I cannot make $1 million. Well, have you tried? So the best way first that you need to do is you need to figure out, how can I make that $1 million? How can I make sense of my company making $1 million? If you're a marketer, if you're a marketer or an administrator, you can say, well, of course I can't make $1 million. Says who? Because the reason why you're not making $1 million is because you're not making sense of how can you make that $1 million. I know a lot of marketers that are making six-figure, income in the mid six figures, high six figures, because they're able to produce for the agencies that they're actually working with. So, and there's always the other aspect of things is that if you can put so much knowledge in your head, if you can put so much information in your head, why can't you start your own agency later on to make that $1 million? Everything that we do, every time that we wake up every day, it's one step closer to our determination. And if you want to start a business, then you can make that $1 million. You just have to make sense of it. But at the same time if you're a company and you own the company and you're not making the $1 million, well, you have to put the math down to figure how can you get there. And once you get there, okay, then you can expand upon how can I double it even more. Because at any given point, you were making $0. When you opened up your agency, you were only making $0 until you started bringing in patients. And so that's what you just have to kind of look into, right? So you want to be able to say that I want to be a millionaire. I want my company to make $1 million. Because guess what? The more that your company is making money, the more that you can actually keep the doors open in your company, the better services you can provide, the better you can help the community. And you want to be able to make a difference for the better, not making a difference for the worse. So first thing, you better have a great why or you won't. What's the reason that you want to do this? Most people don't even know what they're doing. Most people don't even have that why inside them. They can't even answer that. And there's some people who every day their why changes. And that is where there's no clarity enough for that. A lot of people even said, well, Michael, I don't want to be rich. Okay, of course, I respect that. But at the same time, if that is your thinking, then don't complain about it. Because I hear so many people that they don't want to be rich, but they complain about money. And so there is there's a separation between that. Because for you to be able to not be worried about money, you have to be thinking about how can I get more money? And that's what is being rich, because you want to be richer than what you are right now. I've even had agencies tell me, well, Michael, I only want to have at least 20 patients a month and I'm happy. The problem with that in business is that if you decide to say, this is all I want, guess what? That's all you're going to get. And what we always see in business is when you hit a plateau, there's only one direction that can happen next is downward. Okay? Whereas people that are always trying to get their business to expand, to try to get more market share, to be able to keep on getting more patients, to get more new referral sources, they are going to keep on climbing up. But even when there is a notch where they go down, it's perfectly fine because they're always in the progression of trying to go up. And so we have to understand we can't just say we just want this much, client census. The best way to look at it is that you need to create a goal and say, I want to get 80 patient average census by the end of the year. And from there on, when you have that point, that structure, that placement where you want to be, you then have to be able to make sure that you create a plan and dissect that and figure out how are you going to be able to scale yourself up slowly to get to the 80. If you figured out how to get to 20, if you want to get to 40, all you got to do is double up on what you're doing that got you to a 20, a 20 base, a 20 client census for that month. But some people are not willing to double up what they were doing to get to the 20. And that's why they don't make it to the 40, the 60, the 80, and the hundreds. So before anything, I always like to do this. Before I make a plan, before I launch a new business, a new training course, before I launch a new program for the home health agencies I work with and I work for, I always want to be able to look at the math, because math pretty much can explain a lot of different things. So let's look at the math, right? Let's look at the $1 million math just for you guys, right? So I always do the math when I think something is impossible. So if I want to make $1 million, right? And if we look at that, if I want to make $1 million and I charge and I get $1 million or I get paid $1 million per sale, then all I need is one sale to make $1 million. If I'm charging 100,000 per sale, then all I got to do is make what? 10 sales. And so by doing this math, you can kind of figure out what structure do I need to make in order to be able to hit the $1 million mark. And it all depends. All of us at one given point will make $1 million in our lifetime. Some people will do it in a year. Some people, it may take 10 years. Some people may take 15, 20 years. But no matter what, we will all eventually be able to make $1 million. It's just how fast can we get there, and can we actually create a structure that will put us to that point to be able to make that $1 million. So if I was to make $1 million this year, that means I would have to make $83,000 a month. I would have to make $19,000 a week. I would have to make $2,700 or so a day, or I need to be able to be making $278 per hour. So we need to be able to do the math, and that's the breakdown of making $1 million. Now, how do we apply that for home health is the most important thing. So how much are you making per client? How much are you losing money by paying too much of a high rate for your nurses, for your caregivers? What's too high, what's too low? And you have to be able to look at your math at this very moment. A lot of home health agencies out there, the medical home health agencies, they have to do what they call a yearly cost report. And the funny thing is, most of the agencies I speak to, when I ask about their cost report, they can't even tell me anything in the lines of their cost report. And your cost report is not just there just to submit that to the government. Your cost report there is to be able to really explain to you, are you doing business correctly? Are there places that you need to improve on? It's one of the parts of your scorecard or your school grade. Are you doing good? Are you doing good in math? That's what the cost report is. That's your math grade for the year. Now, there's other things that you get graded on, your star ratings for Medicare and so forth. That's the care that you provide for clients. But the math portion is always such an important thing for you to be able to do. So let's start $1 million home health business. Let's go ahead and start one, right? So before we can get started one, let's go ahead and look at the business itself, right? So you need to really discover your business, okay? So what can you do really? What can you do? Everyone has a special thing. If not, find something you hate and get special at it, right? So what can you do, right? Are you going to do home health? Are you going to do home care? Are you going to do hospice? Some home health agencies out there that I know don't want to even add a home care portion to their company. They don't even want to add a hospice to their company. Now, that gives you your choice. Now, for a home care company, do you eventually want to get into the medical aspect, the home health agencies? So a lot of people don't want to move on to the next level. That's perfectly fine. But guess what? I know a lot of agencies out there who started off as a home care, then all of a sudden brought in a home health as well in their business. I know a lot of people out there that has both home health, hospice, and home care all together. Look at the hospitals, for example. A lot of hospital systems have their own home health agencies. A lot of nursing homes out there have a nursing home, skilled nursing facility, a long-term care facility. They also have an internal hospice, memory care. They also have their own home health. Okay, they also provide caregivers, and some of them have even, a ALF, an assisted living facility, right next door as well, or they own some of those. So you need to first of all figure out who you are or what can you do. Now, if you already are and have chosen to become just one of those, that's perfectly fine. You're just being more defined. We then need to be able to look at the next step, okay? As what is the problem that you solve? A lot of companies always like to say, well, you know what? We provide skilled nursing therapy, or we provide caregivers and homemakers. And those are your features, right? But what are the benefits that you can do? A benefit is being able to do something to solve a particular problem. Right? And if you concentrate more on what problems you solve, Now, what I'm just saying is I'm not going to say, well, we prevent or we lower the chances of patients to go back into the hospital. That is a benefit, that is a problem that you solve. But sometimes it's not the only problem that you have to solve. We also have to solve the problems of the potential referral sources. Some referral sources have problems finding DMEs or finding the right services for the clients, or finding the right agency that offers or takes the insurance that they need. So we also need to be able to find out what are the other problems or the underlying problems that we can also solve by using our company and our agency. All right. And then you need to look at your audience, right? Are you targeting? Are you a business to business? Are you business to consumer? Are you a hybrid? Are you a retail? Are you a direct sales? Are you inside sales or e-commerce? So let me go ahead and expand. You can be doing a lot of these things yourself. Business to business. Well, of course we're a business to business. Why? We go after nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities that are businesses that can refer to us. We are business to consumers, right? So we will target people that would see our services and they'll call their physician or they'll tell the hospital they're in that they actually want to use our services and not what the ones that they're referring to. Are you a hybrid? A little bit of both, of course. But the problem is a lot of agencies don't want to go direct to consumer, right? So what are great ways to do direct to consumers? Advertising, Facebook advertising. We actually have a full video training program where we show you guys how to use Facebook to increase your referral sources. And if you don't want to figure that out, that's something that we do a lot. We actually help so many agencies, gain more referrals by just using Facebook marketing and using Google as well by ranking them up. Are you in retail? You should be in retail, right? How does retail work? Well, several things. You can provide services that they may actually want to keep afterwards, after you're done providing them services that they may want, and you can make money from that, right? So for my home care companies, we actually offer a medication reminder program, for example, where the patient will get a call every day to remind them to take their medications. So we have our own software that was able to be used to provide daily calls to each patient at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, to remind them to take the medication. But guess what? When the patient is not using our services anymore, we don't provide that to the patient no more. And a lot of patients, family members, still want that for their mom, for their dad, for their loved one. And they'll ask us, they'll say, hey, Michael, how can we get that service for my mom now that we're not using you guys? Well, if you want, you can pay us. It's $15 a month. It's not a lot of money. Why? Because we can make sure that your loved ones always remember to take their medications. So we'll sell those sometimes. And you can make so much money that way as well. Another way that you can kind of look at it as a retail is that you can sell your product and your services. If you're a home care company, you can sell product and services by saying, one visit a month just for a nurse to be able to make sure that the medication is handled correctly. Okay, so that's another way to be able to make money. For the home health agencies, you can also do the same thing, right? Just because you're not billing the insurance, why would you put to waste if a family member says, I want my mom to be visited once every 2 weeks to make sure the medications are being taken and they're arranged correctly? You can charge that person $120 for that services, pay your nurse $50, and you can still make another profit. Direct sales is another important thing. Inside sales and e-commerce. You have to start thinking what you can do for the services that you can. So like I said, for e-commerce, we actually have a website that sells the online, medication reminder where we can remind patients. So patients can actually register online, sign up their mom, their father, their loved one for that, and we can make more money in the back end. So you have to look at multiple flows of income for your company that is possible for you within the guidelines to be able to make more money for the company. It's like, for example, you have to have multiple flows. I believe in doing home health and home care at the very same time. Now, if you have hospice, that's perfectly fine as well. You can do the triple threat or just two, but you have to be able to make multiple flows of income for your company to keep it stable. Okay, so we talked about doing the math, right? So let's look at the math for basic home care. To make $1 million, right, you take the million, you divide that by the services, that equals the number of sales that you need to have. So if you want your home care company, your non-medical home care, to make $1 million this year, you need to be, let's say for example, you're charging $25 an hour for that client, okay? $25 an hour. So if I divide a million to 25, that means I need to be able to have 40,000 billable hours in 1 year. So if I take that 40,000 divided by 12 months, that means I need 3,333 hours billed on a monthly basis. Now, the average full-time home care client will be around 160 hours a month. So if we take 3,333 hours, divide that by 160 hours, that means we need an average of 20.8 full-time clients to be able to make that $1 million. So that's how you be able to understand. So the reason why that's important is you can now start doing your monthly assessments and your math. You can say, hey, we only have 2,000 hours that are billable this month. We need to slowly step it up because we need that 3,333 hours average so that we can say that we're going to be making $1 million in a year. Now for home health agencies, the skilled nursing therapy agencies that bill Medicare and insurances, to make $1 million, you also do that divided by the service price equals the number of sales or the number of admissions, right? So typically most clients are 60 days, right? So we have a client, they have a 60-day episode. So let's say, for example, you're making $3,000 is what you're billable. You can bill Medicare or the insurances for that one admission. So if we divide that by 2, right? Because, by 30, so that equals to $1,500 a month is what you can make from that patient. So if we then go ahead and take the million divided by 1,500, that means we need 667 admissions to be able to make $1 million. So you take 667 divided by 12 months, that means you have to have a census of 55.5 for you to say that you have a $1 million billable agency. Now, here's the problem also. Here's part of the math problems. We're just looking at how much income, right? Gross income you can make, but there's other expenses. So the way to look at it sometimes is, per average that we've seen with a lot of companies that we work with, the profit margin after they're paying their direct staff, meaning, the caregiver that actually provides the services, the nurses, the therapist that actually goes to the patient's home for home health. So we're seeing about a 24.7% profit margin for a home care client. And we're seeing 45% for home health. Now here's the problem with that, is the fact that we still have to pay the bills, the office space. For home care, all you need really is sometimes some states you need an RN on board, but sometimes you don't. But you need somebody who's the receptionist and the marketer. So let's look at for home care. You need the physical space. You need to pay for a marketer. You need to have an administrator, maybe a receptionist. So after you pay all those, it starts taking away from that profit margin that came about. Then for home health, this is the biggest problem for home health. Guess what? You have a DON that works for you who's probably making $70,000, $80,000, a year. You may have an administrator that is getting paid $50,000 to $70,000 a year. Then you have your coder, then you have your receptionist, and so forth that's within the organization. So you have all these additional expenses, and so you have to be able to make sense of things. So just because your company made $1 million this year, that does not mean that it's $1 million profit. So that's where you have to work as an organization to kind of figure out where you can cut some costs and to be able to, in the bottom line, get more profit for your company. But the funny thing about everything is this, is that marketing solves everything. The fact that you can bring in more patients, bring in more referral sources, that solves your problem for your company. It's not really like, what do I have now, but how can I expand even further? So, to be able to discover your business, you need to build your offer, right? This is your 20-second commercial that clearly states what your value proposition is. This is your elevator pitch. This is just the beginning. I want you to be able to right now tell me within 20 seconds what your company does. So like for example, Home Health Success Academy, we work with home health agencies, home care companies, learn how to be able to increase the census of their company, get more referral sources, and in the bottom line, be able to increase the profits of their organizations. And we do this by showing them how to market correctly, how to position themselves correctly, and how to be able to make sure that they get in front of the right people that's going to refer to their agencies. So what does your company do? What's your 20-second pitch? What's your elevator pitch? But just to let you guys know, this is the beginning. What we do in Home Health Success Academy and 10x Patient Referrals is that we actually work with you guys and give you all the tools. We provide you guys with over 200 hours worth of videos and audio items that's going to be able to really give you guys everything from how to close, how to present, how to, to the point of how do you act when you walk in. That's right there is what's important that you guys have. But discovering your business is important, and knowing your 20-second commercial. Most agencies out there, when we first start with them, when we ask them to give us their pitch, they don't even have one. They start mumbling. They start stumbling a little bit. And that right there can cause problems because you're meeting people every day and you should be networking nonstop to be able to get more referrals. Now, once you know what you are and who you have, what you provide, what problems that you can solve, then you need to go sell it. So now you need to know your customers. Who are your customers? A lot of people will say, well, Michael, we work with doctors, we work with hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. That's not knowing your customers. That's just knowing who you want to target, right? You need to be able to, first of all, know the customers, meaning I want to work with ABC Skilled Nursing Facility. Within ABC Skilled Nursing Facility is John Doe, the DON, and Tammy Jane, the administrator. And the social worker is John Jane. So that is knowing who your customers are. Or for your home care companies, it's the same thing, but for the home care companies, it's a double sale because you must know, first of all, who you're trying to get referrals from, but you need to also go directly to the clients as well to make them want to use your services as well, because you might have to sell them too. The next thing is know why people buy. What makes people say they want to use your services? And like I said, each and every person has a different problem. And that's where your presentation is important. That's why you need to be able to know the 3 main questions to ask, right? The 3 main positives and 3 main negative questions you need to ask when you're about to do a presentation. We actually have that at 10xpatientreferrals.com where we share with you guys the best way to start your presentation. The next thing is you need to build a pipeline. A lot of people are starting to say, well, I can't find referral sources. No, it's because you haven't gone out enough to find them. They're all out there. You can't tell me that there's no potential referral sources when another agency found another referral source. It's just you did not put yourself out there enough to be able to get them to use your company. So you need to be able to create and build a pipeline. If your marketers are visiting the same people every week, guess what? They're not building a pipeline. They're just hitting that plateau just because, all the referral sources that they have is giving them an average of 20 a week, let's say. But eventually, if they don't try to seek more referral sources, eventually that's going to disappear. The next thing is you need to justify the value. Like I said, there's home care companies out there who's only charging $20, $16 an hour. And there's agencies out there that are charging $29, $30. You must be able to first justify the value of your company. I know a lot of agencies that say, I want you to use our agency, for your patients. But then when you ask them personally, would you recommend or would you have your mother, your grandfather use the services that your company offers? And a lot of them will say no. So you need to be able to justify the value of your organization. The next thing is I want you to be able to step to discovering your business, right? These are the steps that you need to be able to do that. It's what can you do? What is the problem you solve? Who is your audience? Do the math to determine the product and the price. Build your offer and sell it. That's the basic steps that you need to do. What can you do? What is the problem you solve? Who is your audience? Do the math to determine the product and the price. Build the offer and sell it. Now, when we talk about determine, the math to be able to determine the product and the price, we can't change the pricing when it comes to what Medicare or what the other insurances will pay, right? But we can do that for non-medical and for home care. Another thing also is We can determine what programs that we offer to make ourselves stand out, but at the same time we can also determine what are the price that we're going to pay for the workers that works for us. I come from the part of owning businesses and still owning businesses, and I will tell you that a lot of home health agencies are hiring the wrong nurses just because they have a license and they want to fill a spot. And they're paying a lot of money for somebody that does not give them the proper amount of value of what they're willing to pay. Moving on to what we call the 7 business maxims, right? So we want to be able to give you guys maxim number 1, which is the mission of business is to help people, right? We want to help these clients, right? We want to help these patients we care for, but we also want to help who? Making sure that it's easy for the discharge planners to discharge a patient. And we also want to help the restaurants, the servers that will serve us food because we're making money. In the end, when you're making money for your company, for yourself, you're helping a lot of people. And a lot of people don't even notice that. And so we have to understand this. The first part, the first maxim of home health business is that we want to be able to help people. The next one is people have to talk to people. Meaning, if you are not marketing your company at this very moment, you are not doing a good job. You have to be networking out there. You should be taking advantage of Facebook. I'll tell you one thing for my home care companies, we get somewhere around 23 to 27 in average a month of clients for our non-medical home care company just from Facebook alone. Facebook marketing is such an amazing thing. We have a whole series talking about that I truly suggest you should take advantage of. And we even have agencies right now that are using our services because they're busy and they don't have any time, and they just decided that if we can help them and produce for them and give them what they need, then they can make sense of that. Maxim number 3 is there's no silver bullets, meaning there is no one-stop solution for your problems. For me wise, I network, I use Facebook marketing, I take advantage of SEO for Google to be able to rank my agencies up in the first place or within the first page of Google. I make sure that I hire amazing marketers and train them properly, actually train them properly. My service staff, my healthcare staff providing the care, the direct care staff, I make sure they're trained, I make sure they're happy, I make sure they have all the products and services that they need, that they're not lacking anything so they can get and give the best service possible for our clients. So there's no silver lining, there's no silver bullets that can be solved one thing. A lot of people don't even want to learn about home health marketing, yet they want to just get the patients. A lot of companies out there will put an ad for a home health or experienced home health marketer, but not give them the tools that they need to do to be able to be successful. I would rather hire somebody who does not have any experience at this very moment and train them the right way to be able to provide the right marketing techniques. Okay, so maxim number 4, you need to be able to reinvent yourself on a daily basis. Now, what do we really mean about reinventing yourself on a daily basis? I'm not saying create a fake persona, create a fake avatar of you or your company. No, you must be able to be willing to see what are things that you can change. So if you're doing what they call a competition matrix, looking at what other companies are doing out there that's making themselves stand out, are you able to add something, some service, some program for your company? Or if you're a marketer, are there things that you can do on a daily basis to improve yourself? Meaning, are you making sure you're going out there learning a new trade, a new skill, a new technique, learning different new scripts on what you can actually do, practicing, drilling, and rehearsing? Because what happens is if you try to do the same thing always and get the same return, what if the return is not good? So you have to do something and change it. When a lot of people are saying, well, our marketing is not doing good, okay, then are you still doing the same exact marketing strategies if it's not working? And a lot of agencies will then say, well, we're just going to get rid of a marketer. Because obviously it's them who is failing. And we always look at that and say, is it really the marketer that's failing, or is it the company not giving the marketer every single thing, every single tool to market the agency? If you're just giving your marketer a brochure or a business card and think that right there is going to bring in the clients, then you're relying on that marketer to become really good or have a good PR persona. Now, not all marketers are created the same, but if you ever are able to provide them with a lot of education-based marketing material that they can use to promote your company, or you can give them additional items or programs that's going to make you stand out from the other competition, then that right there is going to be such an amazing thing. Like a good example is that, you know, one year we actually shared this several times already, but like I said, you know, our one agency in the Midwest, obviously in the Midwest it snows, and so we started providing free snow plowing and walkway plowing as well for all our clients. But not all our clients, like I said in the past, actually are in their home. They're in a assisted living facility. And of course, the assisted living facility is the one that handles the snow plowing. But if, like I said, if we have a patient who is at home by themselves and we are able to prevent any falls from happening because they might slip, well, then that makes us stand out. And a lot of agencies out there are not willing to do that. And so what can you do? What can you do right now at this very moment? A decision you can make to reinvent yourself. Do you want to start a pet care program for your clients if they have any pets? Do you want to be able to add a medication reminder for the clients? And a lot of home care companies are saying, well, we already have our caregiver there, and so we do our medication reminder then. Well, what if your client is not being taken care of on a 24/7 basis or a one day, 7 days a week basis? Can you provide a medication reminder program for them? And these are the things that you need to be able to, first off, make yourself stand out from the competition. Now, maxim number 5 is have a sense of desperation. And what we really mean about this is that you always have to be desperate. A lot of us only react if we are placed in a position of pain, a position of desperation, so that we can change and move towards pleasure. And so with that said, it's a lot harder to make somebody move when you are in pleasure mode. Meaning, for example, if you are satisfied with the amount of clients that you have, you're not really going to move so much and try to find the next client. But if you put yourself in a desperation mode and you are always trying to make sure you find the next client, then at that moment, you're going to be able to work hard as much as possible. So that's why I always preach half of your total profits, if you have cash flow, half or 50% of your cash flow should be reinvested back in the company and used for marketing and for branding services, because number one, it's a tax write-off. Number two, you just lost half of your money that is going to the bank. So right there alone, you're going to have the feeling of desperation and want to replace that automatically. But because you are actually investing it in your team, in your staff, in training, in branding, it allows you to be able to grow as a company as well. Maxim 6, you need to learn more from failure than from success. A lot of us don't want to fail, but here's the fun part. I actually love the fail part, because when I fail on something, it's just a direction that I need to go and figure out how to not fail again. And it will take time to be able to figure that out, but if you actually spend that time, strategize, actually analyze everything that you're doing, you will figure out what you can do to make sure that you accomplish what you need without having any failures. But guess what? We all fail on a daily basis. Every time that another client goes to another competition, another person, another company, we failed rather than getting that client to come to us, because that's a potential client. They are looking for a home care company. They're looking for a home health agency to refer to. And if they decide to use another agency, we failed at their very moment. We may not see that we failed, but we did. So another good way to learn from failure is to be able to surround yourself with the right people, the right coach, the right consultant, the right people that works for you, that has experienced these failures and figured out how to solve it. And so I myself have failed numerous times when me going out there marketing my company, when I used to do direct marketing for my home health and my home care company. But then eventually I learned from my failures, figured out what works, and then allowed myself to duplicate that by hiring people and training them the right way. So failure is just a step back or a fence that's put in front of you really fast to make you think on and ponder on what happened. And you need to be able to, instead of retreating, move forward, go over the fence, hop over it, and keep on working forward. Maxim number 7, which is the last one, right? Nothing takes the place of hard work. Okay. Now, a lot of people say, well, Michael, I don't want to work hard, but I just rather work smart, which is better. Or a lot of people will say, no, hard work is where you get everything. My belief on things is be in the middle, meaning be smart and work hard. You can be smart but not work hard, you're not going to get anything in return. But imagine if you actually work so hard and you are smart about things, then everything is limitless for you as a person working for a company or for your company, so that you can provide a job, provide for the patients you're taking care of, and provide for the people that surrounds you. Warren Buffett once said that risk comes from not knowing what you're doing, okay? So that's why you need to be able to be smart about things. You must allow yourself to be able to analyze anything that you do. Just because what you did, for example, was successful and you got a referral, that doesn't mean that you don't sit down and analyze what gave you that success. And so we actually look at that. We look at what caused us to fail and what caused us to succeed. And we would have those meetings with our marketers and say, hey, what worked for you on this particular situation? And then we ask feedback from everybody else, and we practice, we drill, we rehearse with each other. Because if we can use that as a teaching moment of what worked for us, then we want to be able to duplicate it and replicate it as much as possible. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the second half of this training, okay? And if you haven't seen the whole video series on the first half of how to create a successful home health agency series, then I truly suggest that you go back and you actually watch the full section, okay? You should watch the full section, because the last thing you want to do is jump in on the second half and not have the core training of the beginning of what's important. So in the second half of this series, we're going to talk about the business truths and why small businesses will never survive, why small home care companies will not survive, why small home health agencies are not going to survive this whole process, this whole thing that's going on, this business in this industry. So here's a fact about businesses. Now, this is a general fact. 91% of small businesses make less than $250,000. Now, listen, we're trying to give you the idea that you need to make at least $1 million for your organization, at least, $1 million to create gross income when you charge patients, when you bill Medicare or insurances. Your agency is a small business unless you decide to act now. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Michael, $250,000 is a lot. Not really. Is $1 million a lot for an individual? Maybe. But at the same time, as for a business, it is not a big thing. There's a lot of companies out there making millions of dollars, yet they cannot turn a profit. So 76% of all small businesses break even or even lose money. So, these small businesses that, the maximum amount is somewhere around $250,000, yet 76% are just breaking even or losing money. This is so similar to a lot of home health agencies, because there's a lot of home health agencies out there that are losing money on a daily basis, losing money on a monthly, on a yearly basis, because they're not able to bring enough clients. They're not able to manage the whole payment structure within the organization. And there's a lot of holes that they keep open. And this is what we keep on talking about with a lot of people, is that you need to be able to balance and create a strong core. And the strong core is being able to run the business correctly on the inside, but at the same time is run a crazy, amazing marketing campaign out there, because that's what's going to bring in 100% of your revenues. So according to Bloomberg Business Statistics, 80%, 80% of entrepreneurs are failing within the first 18 months, meaning a lot of businesses out there, 80% of them will fail within less than 2 years. Have you ever seen a restaurant open and then within less than a few months they close down? Do you know another home health agency that, for some reason opened up, but for the past year can't find a single patient? Have you seen home health agencies that were open for 2, 3 years and then they eventually closed down? The real marking point for any business is 5 years. If you are able to actually stay open for 5 years, you have a higher chance of remaining open for the rest of your life. But we also see chances where companies all of a sudden lose. Imagine before, when trains used to be the primary transportation of delivering goods across the United States. Then you had Henry Ford come along and created what? The truck, the car. Now, the railroad companies should have invested in Ford or invested in their own company to create trucks, but they just felt and believed that they did not need to buy trucks or invest in it because they felt that everybody else will always use trains to deliver goods. Now, guess what? The primary delivery companies that deliver products and goods across the United States are trucking companies, and the railroad company is not as rich anymore. So if you are an organization, you have to understand that you must be willing to work hard and do something about what you're doing so that you do not fail right away. You do not fail in the long run. You must be smart about everything that you guys do. Now, looking at that small business that's generating $250,000, let's say after expenses, after adjusted grosses, after taxes, you are now left with nothing left because you paid all your employees, you paid all the salaries, all that stuff is gone and there's no money left. Now, the solution to everything is always doubling everything. If you can make $500,000, then you might be able to come up with some positive cash flow. But if you get $1 million, then you have a higher chance of actually making more in what you're doing. So when there's no cash flow coming into your company, right? Now, here's another thing, guys. Cash flow meaning that after everything's left. Now, a lot of companies are owned by mom and pop operations or small joint ventures. Here's the thing. Just because you work for the company and you paid yourself a salary, that doesn't mean that your company is profitable. You must have positive cash flow that's coming out into the bank account of your company after everybody else is paid for. Because if you're receiving a paycheck for a company, you're just an employee that for some reason your name is part of the ownership of the organization. The goal here is that if you're an owner, that you're not having to put 100% of your time into your company, right? You must be willing to be able to hire a manager of your company eventually. That's when it becomes a business and not as a job. And the reason for that is this: if the company relies on you as a person, imagine what's going to happen when you get sick, when you can't do the functions that you're supposed to be doing. What ends up happening is the company will fail itself as well. I've seen agencies close down because the matriarch or the patriarch of the family who runs the business gets sick, passes away, or decides to retire. And then the kids are left with these companies that they don't know how to actually manage because they were never given the opportunity to prove themselves to manage the company. Let's talk about the business failures and how simple it is. Why is it made simple? Here's how it goes. If you are not able to sell your products, meaning your home care services, right, in quantities great enough and prices high enough to provide a cash flow significant enough to continue to grow, meaning that if you're not able to get clients to come in, get the high-paying clients, have a large profit margin between the cost to run the agency to provide the services and what's left with you. If you're not able to do that, then you guys are going to lose. So it's like, for example, there's companies out there that pay too much money to their caregivers and to their nurses, yet they charge so low to the clients, so their profit is not there. And eventually, if you are just trying to be the lowest cost the lowest charging home care company, most likely you will lose because your profit margin is not there. Now, if you're a home health agency and you bill Medicare or Medicaid, it's the same exact thing that goes, right? If you're paying a high amount of money to your nurses, yet your billing structure, you don't have a good biller, you're missing certain things, eventually your company will lose money. So I want you guys to put this in your mindset, right? You need to be able to start thinking about clinical is last and marketing is now. Meaning that yes, we want to provide great care for clients, for our patients, but how can we really provide care for them if we are not able to make sure that the company is staying afloat? So marketing is always the first thing that you need to worry about when it comes to your company. It's a given that you should provide great services for your clients. But how can you prove great service if you don't have clients coming in? Here's an additional small business fact, guys. 54% of all small businesses will make less than $25,000. And we see this a lot for a lot of home care companies and home health agencies. They're, for some reason, able to hire a consultant to be able to open up the company for them, get the licenses, get the certifications, but then all of a sudden they do not know how to find the patients. They don't know how to find more clients. And when that happens, guess what? You're not going to be making money at all. And there's some people out there who starts a home care company, but they still have their full-time job, but they don't work hard enough to be able to replace their current income that it's going to allow them to quit their job so they can concentrate more on the business. So we have to understand that not all agencies out there are making a lot of money. Even that's why we share with you guys the median, right? The median stuff when in regards for, how many clients each a home health and a home care company averages. And so, that's just the middle portion, the average. So that means there's a lot of companies out there making good money, having 100, 200 clients, but there's a lot of home care companies out there that only have 1 or 2 clients there on a monthly basis. We want to be able to share with you guys the myths of thinking small. Number one is more manageable. A lot of people think that I don't want to grow, I don't want to get too big because it's going to be harder for me to manage. Like I said, the goal is to grow and to bring in better people to help you manage the organization. Would you rather have the problems of being small, trying to look for the next patient, or would you rather have the problem of growing big and just the problem you'll have as to how can I find more staff members? New problems are better problems than old problems. Okay, so number 2, better quality. I can provide better quality care for clients if I remain small. That is far from the truth. Because as long as you're willing to grow on staff, just as you are willing to grow with clients, you should be able to provide quality care. And the truth is, the more money you make, the more money your company makes, the better chance that they can provide better care because they can afford to make sense of using other products and services within the organization to provide the clients. Number 3 is work for myself. I just do this. I want to remain small because I just want to work for myself. Now, that's a great idea. A lot of people will think about, I want to actually start my own business because I don't want to rely on a boss. One thing good about having bosses is the fact that you're not the main person to blame. And so guess what? If you are running this business and treating it just like a job for you and not a business of trying to make more money and expanding, what happens when you get sick? Your company's not going to give you sick time because you own the company. So what's going to happen to you, your family? What's going to happen to your employees when you as a person are the only one in charge of marketing, running the inside of the business, and you get sick? Payrolls doesn't get made, checks don't get cashed, patients don't get followed up, billing process disappears because you lost a lot of revenue because you didn't bill properly. So don't think about that, being small is a good thing because you just want to work for yourself. The 4th myth is it's less risky. A lot of companies will say, well, I don't want to risk it because once you start having over 35 patients a month, the Medicare and the government looks after you more and they scrutinize you. It doesn't matter how big you are, whether you have 1 patient or 100 patients or 1,000 patients. If you are being paid by Medicare, they will look into you further. They will look at what your practices are and will take advantage of that and put some problems with you if they detect anything. It's only risky if you feel that you're crossing certain gray areas. As long as you provide care properly, as long as you're billing properly, as long as you provide the best possible care for those clients, then there's no risk involved. But the truth is, there's always risk in anything, right? Lawsuits, complaints, but it's a matter of how you handle those particular items that's important. Okay, millionaire is the new middle class. It's such the truth, right? It just is. And if you don't understand that, when I'm talking about millionaire people are considered middle class now, because guess what? How much you need to make? You think just because you make $1 million, you're not going to keep that full million. It's the same exact thing with business. Just because you're able to generate $1 million for your company, it doesn't mean that $1 million is your profit. Right? So they say like the middle class average American works 1,750 hours per week, earns $52,000 a year, which is an average of 29.70 hours, right? $29.70 per hour. And so that's the middle class. So the question is, how do you put yourself above the middle class? That's the goal for everybody. If you're a marketer, is $60,000, is $52,000 a good salary? Of course it is. But the truth is, after you're done with taxes and everything else, it's half of that now. So the breaking point really for a real successful home health agency is, how can I make $1 million a year, right? And so if you are able to make $1 million a year, then you can start seeing cash flows of averaging about $140,000. So it doesn't matter where you are, what type of businesses you're in, right? Whether your agency is a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a limited partnership, a corporation, an LLC, or a nonprofit, it's still about making money. Do you think nonprofit agencies don't need money to be made? Of course they do. They just have a different structure in the end of the year when they need to submit the taxes. But the truth is, no matter what type of business you are in, what type of your home care company you have, whether it's a home health, home care, hospice, in the end, no matter what, the bottom line is bringing in referrals, being able to close those deals and have your services take care of them, and get paid. That's what's important the most. So before anything, the real best way to do is to simplify your home health, your home care business. Number one, you must be able to solve problems. Number two, you must improve conditions. Number three, provide positive cash flow. Number four, easy to purchase, meaning you are able to show people how easy it is to make a determination to use your company. And number five, you must be scalable. You must be willing to be able to double, triple, quadruple, and even 10x your business as much as possible. It's about creating that growth curve, making sure that your company is going up all the time. So let me give you a business warning. Business warning number one is, any idea can be great, but it doesn't mean that any idea is great. Meaning that, listen, as you go here, as you're discovering new ways to market your services, your company, you may think of a great idea, but the best way to find out if it actually works is test it out. But don't just test something out and then all of a sudden, after one try, you don't want to do it anymore. You really want to see, is it something that's going to be profitable for your company? So let me share with you guys one thing. We decided, because we've attended several events, that we should start doing what they call a telehealth program, right? So we would purchase these equipments that would cost thousands of dollars per patient to try to get referrals. And what we decided is that, does it work for certain agencies? Yes, it does. But for some reason, we weren't able to, put value in this when we're marketing out to potential referral sources. And eventually we just went ahead and dropped it because we were spending $1,000 per client, right? Because we were getting these equipments. What we realized is, what really pushed the value was the medication reminder. So am I looking at $1,000 for a particular product that eventually may break or may get lost? Or do I spend just $10 for this client and show the difference and provide good education to the referral source why they should refer to us because of this particular one thing that we do? So any idea can be great. That does not mean that all ideas are great, right? The next one is, fast is the new big, right? You don't want to be fast always. You don't want to be the slowest either. You want to be able to be right in the middle, right? Be the tortoise and the hare and the millionaire, right? Meaning that you want to be able to adjust yourself. If you're always running really fast, you're not going to be able to clearly see the direction you're going. You know the direction you're going, but you might miss certain things. And if you go slow, then there's a potential that a lot of companies will actually be able to do what? To take over your position. So if you're the tortoise in the hare and you put yourself right in the middle, you are always able to fully adjust yourself as you go. Small is guaranteed failure. It's the truth. Don't think small, think big. If where you are right now is where you're comfortable, you need to be able to figure out how to put discomfort in yourself to go big or go home. So, there's a lot of mistakes we all face, and like I said, I believe in failure, and I'm glad that I am able to look at failure as something that is negative, but something that I can take with a analysis and to be able to improve myself on, right? So some of my biggest mistakes was thinking, small, right? So small thinking. And this was in the beginning of my career in the home health industry. And I was just satisfied with saying, hey, I can bring in 10 clients a month. That's good enough. Because I remember when I first started, I was only bringing in 1 or 2 a month. And so 10 was like unbelievable for me. And I started looking at the rates of how much maybe I should be making because I could bring in 10 clients, and that was a great thing for me. But then eventually I came across a couple books and a couple courses that I took that you should not put yourself in that situation, and I learned to be able to start thinking big. Right? If we were averaging 100, why can't we reach 200? Why can't we reach 300? Now, just to let you guys be honest, the maximum amount I was able to provide and bring in into a home health agency in 1 year was my average was like around 37 patients a month, right? And that's during the summertime. But during fall and winter is where I started seeing an uptick, right? So I'll go from averaging 37 to all of a sudden bringing in about 65 to 70 patients a month. And so by me thinking big, I just knew I could keep on improving myself. So if I was hitting 10 average this month, when I finally realized that I need to start thinking big, I said, okay, how can I put myself to make 12 next month? And then the following month, how can I put myself to start making 14, 15? But with that thinking, I started shifting, and all of a sudden, within less than 6 months, I was averaging into 20s. And I thought I was a rock star then. But then a friend of mine challenged me and said, well, you were satisfied with 10, and then now you're satisfied with 20. Why can't you be satisfied with 30? And go for that and try more. And that's what made me try even more. So, you have to understand, you need to adjust your mind. Sometimes you actually have to write goals down because that allows you to be able to go back on your goals and improve on it and figure out where you are having some failures or shortcomings in your services. Number 2, underestimated the market. You have to understand the market changes. The market is changing. So for home health agencies, there's proposals of lowering the payments. Now there's bundle payments are happening, right? There's all these things that are happening in our industry. So you should always never underestimate the market. Now in the home care industry also, think about it this way. There's agencies that were charging $16 an hour, $20 an hour for home care services, but now there's a lot of laws, and depending on the state you are, there are minimum wages of $15. So if you are charging 16, 17, you don't have any profit now. After you pay taxes, after you paid everything, there's no profit for you. And so you have to always make sure you educate yourself on what are the changes that are happening within our market. Number 3, didn't reinvest money fast enough. You have to reinvest money into your company. You need to, right? If you're working for a home health agency, you must reinvest in yourself, taking courses, learning, figuring out what are things that you should try. So like 3-4 years ago, we started doing Facebook ads, and with that aha moment, all of a sudden started seeing a large amount of referrals just coming from our Facebook advertising. And so like I said, we also do Facebook advertising for a lot of companies. We get paid by companies to do their Facebook ads for them, and that's something that we truly, truly enjoy. The number 4 mistake is rested, on my laurels, meaning, I was happily where I was with what my accomplishments were at that moment. And so, like I said, with the thinking small, I was satisfied with 10 patients a month because that was, times 5 what I was bringing in the first few months, which was an average of about 2, averaging about 2 patients a month. And so 10 for me was like, wow, I'm amazing. I can do this. But that's the problem, is that I'm just resting there thinking about my accomplishments right now, when my goal is to nowadays is to how can I expand my businesses even more? so that I can achieve more success, so I can achieve more, recognition. Number 5 is trusting without proof. And this happens a lot where we listen to a lot of people saying, this is how you should market, this is what you should do, but then they have no proofs that they work, and they'll tell you, well, the reason why I'm telling you it works is because I know someone who did it. Well, that's fine and all, but you should have proof. You should have case studies in front of you that shows you guys that it actually works in what you're trying to do. So for me, wise, I will never believe everybody right away, but I will surely test it if it sounds interesting to me. So, when I have those goosebumps and saying this looks like a good idea, I will use it and I will do it. But I will not allow myself, one try and then all of a sudden quit on it. And the last one is didn't change operating basis. You have to always have some change the way you operate your businesses. Always understand that the people that surround you that brought you to $100,000 are not going to be the same people that's going to be able to help you to go up to $1,000,000. You may keep some people, but you will lose a lot of people on this journey. Okay, so let's talk about the 10xpatientreferrals.com 12 rules of success. And if you actually add this to your whole mindset through your thinking of running your agency or working for an agency, you're going to see more success in your company. So number 1 is, went to market directly, right? So because at first I didn't really have a lot of money when I first got into working for the home health industry. I got in here because I wanted to help my parents. I was enjoying myself in California as a travel nurse. And then all of a sudden I come back home, not given a salary to help them out. I didn't have the money. And when I asked them to say, hey, I need this much amount to start marketing, and all they could give me was $500. Now, the way I supplemented my income was I worked in the weekend. I worked 2 12-hour shifts, Baylor shift, for several, nursing homes that allowed me to be able to have income in the weekends. And then at the same time as I could go out in the daytime during the weekdays and market the company, right? And so I did everything. I went out there, reached out with people, and then made cold calls. And when I started not making good results with my cold calls, I would still visit the people. I would go out on the road and market my company right now and go door to door to nursing homes, assisted living facilities, SNFs, and hospitals. So just because they said no, that they did not want to meet me, I still went out there and tried to get some appointments with them. This was my competitive advantage because no one else had the courage or persistence to do it. Now, yes, there's people out there marketing, but I just knew one thing, that I could out hustle those people. Like, while this marketer is only visiting these clients once and then revisit them maybe 3-4 months later, I was visiting people every week. I was calling them, following up with them every week. I was still sending them emails. I still believe in doing every aspect of follow-up. Now, just to let you guys know, in our 10xpatientreferrals.com website, we have a follow-up system that will definitely work for you if you start using it for your company. The second rule is to be able to promote like a maniac. No one is going to market your company. Nobody's going to do it better than you, louder than you, right? You need to be able to overcommit and overpromise. The worst thing ever is to promise something but not even make it. But by overcommitting yourself and overpromising some services, it puts that fire behind you to actually make sure that your team provides the care possibly. Because I'd rather break it trying hard than break the relationship not even trying hard at all. So you need to be able to reach out there and let people know that you guys exist. You need to market constantly. You need to be the problem solver always. And that's why we believe in Facebook marketing and online marketing now, and use that as a supplement with our marketing strategies of boots in the ground, which pretty much is amazing. I don't have to have a online marketer paying them $30,000, $40,000 a year. I can take care of doing Facebook ads and all those things at the cost of about $1,000 a month. We run a lot of campaigns for a lot of clients at that cost, and has done an amazing job with it. Third rule is sales should be your inspiration for success. The first and last thing I measured then and now was my revenue. You have to understand, your revenue of your company is the one that creates the jobs for your company. The revenue for your company is the reason why you can take care of your family. The reason why your revenue is so important, it is the lifeblood and the oxygen of all businesses. You need to be able to make sure you spend 95% of your time on revenue and then 5% only for expenses. Everybody keeps on talking about that penny saved, when you should be thinking about, how do I make more of that 99 cents? Because if I can double the 99 cents, I won't be thinking about the pennies too much. But a lot of agencies, a lot of marketers just worry about the expenses rather than expanding the amount of visits, the follow-ups, and increasing your chances for more referrals. The fourth rule is do it before you delegate it. So let's say you're an owner of a company. A lot of owners do this. They would rather hire a marketer because they say they're not marketers, they're not natural salespeople. But then all of a sudden, because they have no idea in marketing an agency, how do they know that the marketer that you just hired can actually market for their company? Can they actually monitor that? A lot of agencies will put job descriptions or job ads in Indeed and other places saying looking for an experienced marketer. Must have a book of business already. Here's the thing, if a marketer is great at what they do, they will not be leaving, and they are actually being paid good, they're not going to leave the facility they're working for. But there is that fine line. Fifth rule is commit to branding before you advertise. Always brand your company. You need to brand. Let people know about your company as much as possible in a variety of different ways. Through brochures, through websites, through Google, through Facebook, through Instagram. There's so many different resources that you can use for branding your organizations. YouTube's such an amazing thing. The fact that you know about us, more likely you saw us in YouTube, or you saw one of our YouTube videos, or you saw one of our live posts in Facebook. And so you have to understand that branding is part of everything. Now, branding is different from marketing, and marketing is different from sales. But all three of those must be taken care of as much as possible to create a successful agency. I said this before, cash flow is the ultimate goal. You need to be able to show that you have cash flow in the company. There is no more important business monitor than cash flow. It is free cash flow that allows your business to continue to expand and invest more. This is the most overlooked and misunderstood part of all business indicators. So you need to be able to make sure that you have a positive cash flow. Number 7, create multiple parallel flows, meaning that there should be different parts of your company that you can get money. Whether you're offering home health, hospice, and home care, or two of those. Or if you are in the home health industry, are you accepting multiple flows of income? Meaning, do you accept Medicare, Medicaid, private insurances, right, and private pay, right? There should be different structures that you create. If you're just an agency that just accepts Medicare, you are handicapping your company because a lot of agencies will not want to work with you, because they're fairly limited with your organization. Stay broke. So I always say, reinvest 50% of your cash flow back into the company, right? If you stay broke, if you have that mindset, it allows you to become uncomfortable and want to do more things to create business for the company. Number 9, keep hustling. That's a Mark Cuban's quote. If you don't know who Mark Cuban is, he's the owner of the Mavericks with Dallas. And he was also one of the top Shark Tanks, right? You have to understand, you have to out-hustle everybody. If you don't out-hustle the competition, they're going to out-hustle you, and they're going to take your business. The moment you stop hustling, you will get out-hustled. I truly, truly believe that. The moment you are busy moving around, or you're not busy moving around in the market, you will be forgotten. You must wake up every day thinking that somebody's out there to beat you. Number 10, use every new technology that you can find. So I hear a lot of people, I hate social media. The next day, we were banging on social media nonstop. The moment I heard a lot of agents saying we don't use social media, I said, oh, interesting. Until this very moment, yes, home health agencies, home care companies have Facebook pages, but they don't know how to use Facebook ads. They don't know that there's a back end of Facebook ads management. And you should actually see the video on how to do and create Facebook ads. And if you need help, we can do that for you as well. But I'll tell you one thing, a lot of social media companies out there, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Snapchats, YouTube, out of all those, YouTube and Facebook has shown tremendous amount of referrals to my agencies. Rule number 11, expand while others run away. we're seeing a lot of agencies retracting, they're not pushing forward with things that are happening. You have to understand that you must be committed to always expand your company. A lot of companies will start firing people because they can't make sense of paying them. And there's a lot of shifts in this industry that we have to understand that eventually a lot of agencies will shut down. But one thing promising is that why is it that a lot of venture capitalist companies, why companies from Silicon Valley, why a lot of larger home health agencies are keep on expanding their territory? Because they know that there's business here. It's just that other people out there who get scared retract and they run away. Number 12 of all the rules is that grow with fire, meaning hire fast, fire faster. When you aren't able to grow, you need to fire someone. There is somebody in your organization that you need to fire. Now, here's the thing also. You might have to fire yourself if you own the company. Why is that? You have to understand if you are running a company, you need to look at what you're good at and what you're not. And if you're not good at something, you need to find somebody who's really good at that and let them handle it for you. So if you're not good at, for example, doing Facebook ads, at first, hire somebody that can do it for you. Then when you figure it out eventually, you can take the reins on it. Same thing with marketing. So you have to understand is that you may fire yourself if you're an owner and give it, to somebody else to handle for you and do and concentrate on what you're good at. Or you may have that bad nurse or that bad caregiver that's causing problems for your company. You might have to get rid of them. You might have that one manager of your company that was amazing, that has great ideas, but have no communication skills with your staff and it's causing problems. You might have to take a risk of getting rid of that person. You have to understand it is important to surround yourself with the right people. And if you don't do that, there are chances of failures in your organization. So, you have to understand if you refuse to create time, you will never create money. And you have to understand how time works. Timing is of the essence. We have so many videos out there that we tell people how they can save time by doing something for the organization. Time is important. Within 24 hours, that's 168 hours a week, and that's 8,760 hours in a year. What you do with your time at this very moment is what's important. There's people out there within 24 hours, they can actually do more than an average person who takes a week to do what a person can do in 8 hours. So let me go ahead and share with you guys some of the tips to succeed in the home health industry. And this is almost towards the ending of this video, and I just want to let you know towards the end, the real end, I'm going to be sharing some information with you that's so important that you would enjoy. So tips to succeed in this business is to make a decision right now to create success, to create that $1 million agency, or for you to be able to help your company become that $1 million agency, the 7-figure to 8-figure industry type of a company. But the decision has to be made at this very moment. Next thing is promote before you advertise. Always promote, promote, promote. It is important to promote yourself, your company, everything. Sales cures all, no matter what. If you can double your profits, what would that do for you? If you can double your referrals, what would that do for you? Sales will cure all other problems. You say, I can't hire a new office manager because we don't have enough money. Bring in more patients, you can hire that person and you can expand faster. Overpromise and overdeliver. Said this earlier. You should overpromise. You should always overdeliver. Measure everything and make adjustments fast. You must be able to analyze what works and doesn't work. You must be able to figure out, what, this gift that we normally give works better than that gift. I know one thing, I would rather give a metal pen than a plastic pen because a metal pen, for some reason, I have higher returns with people wanting to work with me when I give out a metal pen over a plastic pen. Reinforce your successes and repeat. Get rid of what's not working and double down on what's working. When we do Facebook ads for clients, we always do what we call an A and B test. And if we start seeing that there's more results happening in the B test, we'll pull out the money that we're spending in the A test and place that on the B test. Reinvest. Always reinvest in yourself, in your company, in your staff. So Bill Gates said once, if you were born poor, it's not your mistake, but if you die poor, it's your mistake. It goes the same exact way for your company. When you first start, there's no money, there's no patience. But if you end up closing your business because there's no money and there's no patience, then it's your fault. I love Mark Cuban. I always love sharing a lot of his information because he is a born hustler and he did such an amazing job on inventing himself and promoting himself and his companies. So he has this saying that I always like to use, which is work like there is someone working 24 hours a day to take it all away from you. Think about it this way. Your competition is not just one company. Your competition is every other agency that services your area. So if you have 400 competitions, if you can just take one patient away from each one of them, you would have a 400 census company. So think about that. We shared this earlier. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Warren Buffett. So we share with you guys Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, and Bill Gates. Three amazing people that has made so much money because they are willing to work hard with what they do. So here's my shameless plug, but I want to do this for you guys. I want to do a free strategy session. Now, we only do free strategy sessions for 9 people every month. And so if you want us to be able to help you guys grow into $1 million company or help the company you work for grow into $1 million company or even more, we are giving 9 free strategy sessions for this month and only once a month where we give up to 9 people or 9 companies this opportunity. So what you need to do is contact us at 630-340-8990. Send us a text message with your name, with your company, and the code word $1 million agency. And if you do that, if you are able to qualify for the first 9, then we will add you to the list and have a free 30-minute strategy session with you, which is normally a $299 cost. And let's say, for example, you don't make it, then we'll add you to the waiting list, okay? So we definitely want to be able to speak to you guys. If you have any questions, my name is Michael with Home Health Success Academy. Stop by 10xpatientreferrals.com. It's an amazing website. It gives you everything you need to do to learn how to be able to market your agency. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me your time. I know your time is valuable. I hope I gave you guys so much value that you can use for your company. If you have any problems or questions, always send us a comment on our email at info@homehealthsuccessacademy.com. I just want to say thank you once again, and always know that home health marketing is always going to be easy when you know what you're doing.